Yeah. Hi everybody, apologies for the delay there. We seem to have faced a couple of technical issues. I'm really sorry. I think I'll take the responsibility for that. It was we tried it before and it worked beautifully, and then we tried again and it didn't. So apologies for the delay with that. So thank you for coming along. We've got Anna. Anna has actually joined on the phone, and so I'm going to be going through the slides. Anna is the Deputy Head of Talent Acquisition for CERN, so senior member of the Human Resources team at CERN, and it's my great pleasure to welcome her along to give a presentation today about the opportunities that are available at CERN. In terms of my own involvement with CERN, I actually worked at CERN for 3 years, and it's an absolutely incredible place to work. So I would really recommend looking into it if you've got an interest. So I did what's called a senior fellowship. So after my PhD, I went and worked at CERN on a specific project for 3 years. And then after that, I came to the University of Bath. So I've only been at the university about 1.5 years. And during that period, we've actually managed to sign up to become an affiliate member of CMS, the Compact Muon Solenoid, which is one of the experiments on the Large Hadron Collider. So I'm now acting as the lead of this affiliation agreement. And one of my tasks, if you like, is to encourage projects between CERN and the university, and also to encourage you to apply, to do placements, to take on staff positions or that type of thing at CERN. So I'm really pleased that Anna's here to be able to present. So I think the format we'll take is that we'll go through the presentation, and then at the end there'll be hopefully some time for questions. So Anna, I'm going to pass over to you. Please just let me know when you'd like to move on to the next slide.
Okay, well, I hope for a start that you can all hear me. I have got no idea who's watching. I'm very sad not to be with you. I thank you already for the introduction, Alexander. I'd just like to add that I am a Bath University alumna myself, so it's a pleasure to be talking to you all. And I hope I'm going to do this justice and give you all the will to join this fantastic organization that is CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, which is also better known as the world's largest particle physics research lab. So we should be on slide 1 with a beautiful picture of the globe of science and innovation with the title CERN, Opportunities at the Cutting Edge of Technology. So if we go to slide 2 now, just a little bit about the organization. So CERN is actually a worldwide collaboration, but it is actually funded by 23 member states. There are actually a further 8 associate member states who actually contribute to the budget of CERN, which is about 1 billion Swiss francs per year. So that explains why the majority of our programs at CERN are open to nationals of these member and associate member states, which are mainly European, but which also stretch further beyond these borders to Pakistan, India, Israel, and many other countries. So the beauty of CERN is that it is worldwide, but it is quite an important factor to note that it's funded by specific member states. Slide 3, our mission. That's to provide a unique range of particle accelerator facilities to enable research at the forefront of human knowledge. How cool is that? We're here to perform world-class research in fundamental physics, and the most beautiful aspect of the mission is to unite people from all over the world to push the frontiers of science and technology for the benefit of all. So Alexander, if you're in slideshow mode now, it's just going to show up 4 boxes that are the main pillars of our mission: research, education, technology, and collaboration. So slide 4 is going to take us on an exploration. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk to you about the place, the people, and then on slide 5, the tools and the technology, the opportunities, and much more. And as Alexander said, what's important about this presentation is the opportunity for questions and answers at the end, so I look forward to taking those when we finish. So slide 6, please. We're going to dive into the place. So CERN is actually located close to Geneva, and it straddles the French and Swiss border. So this is a picture of the globe of science and innovation that you can see when you land in an aircraft. If you were able to fly these days with COVID, it's a little bit more difficult. But this is our main site on the Swiss side, and we've got another site on the French side. If you go to slide 7 now, this aerial view gives you a better idea. The two sectors in yellow are the two sites that I mentioned. And you can see the inklings of a ring, and that is the 27-kilometer circumference ring, which houses the Large Hadron Collider. And geographically, to give you an idea of where we are, on the right-hand side, you can see part of the Geneva Airport. The lake, everybody calls it Lake Geneva, but it is Lac Léman. That's very important for the locals. And then we are surrounded by the Jura Mountains, the Alps. I mean, it's a wonderful place in terms of quality of life as well. Slide 8, this is a schematic view to show you that this is really an introduction to the machine of all superlatives. It's located approximately 100 meters underground in this 27-kilometer ring I told you about. And on the surface, you can see also the names of our key experiments, CMS, that Alexander knows very well, Atlas, LHCb, and ALICE. But there are more than that. If you go to slide 9, I'm going to take you on a bit of a photographic tour because it's quite impressive to see things with photographs. So this is where it all begins. It's very humble, and this is it shows the LINAC 4 hydrogen source. The red light is the alpha line of the visible hydrogen emission spectrum. So this is where it all starts. When particles are injected into the LHC, it starts here. On slide 10, the LHC is the fastest racetrack on the planet. Trillions of protons are racing around the 27-kilometer ring in opposite directions over 11,000 times a second, traveling at 99.99991% the speed of light. So calling it the fastest racetrack on the planet is a pretty good analogy. Slide 11. So with an operating temperature of about minus 271 degrees Celsius, that's just 1.9 degrees above absolute zero, the Large Hadron Collider is one of the coldest places in the universe, with ultra-high vacuum technology, the largest operational vacuum system in the world, and better than what is found in outer space. Slide 12. The hottest spots in the galaxy. Why? Because when two beams of protons collide, they generate temperatures 1,000 million times, these numbers are important, hotter than the heart of the sun, but in a tiny place. Slide 13. We have the most sophisticated detectors ever built. So to sample and record the debris from up to 600 million proton collisions per second, scientists are building gargantuan devices that measure particles with micron precision. Why are the detectors so big? Alexander's far better placed than I to talk about this. This is because the particles flying out of the collisions have such high energies that it takes big distances to absorb them, and this allows more accurate measurements. So this is a picture of the Atlas experiment, which is as big as a 5-story building. It's looking at new processes and particles that would change our understanding of energy and matter. So Atlas is looking to learn about the basic forces that have shaped our universe since the beginning of time and will determine its fate. Slide 15 shows CMS. This is heavier than the Eiffel Tower, and also it's 15 meters in diameter. Imagine that. It weighs around the same as 30 jumbo jets or 2,500 African elephants. And though it's the size of a cathedral, it contains detectors that are as precise as Swiss watches. Slide 16 shows you the CERN data center. It's always a good reminder because people tend to forget, we're connecting today thanks to the World Wide Web, and CERN is the birthplace of the World Wide Web in 1989. So thanks to that, we're all communicating, we're on social media, we're joining Microsoft Team meetings and things like that. This is where it all began. Slide 17, analyzing the bits and the bytes. To analyze all the data that we produce, we need tens of thousands of computers around the world, which are harnessed into what we know as the computing grid. Slide 18 shows the CERN control center. This is the brain of CERN's nervous system. So all the controls for the accelerator, its services, the technical infrastructure are housed under one roof at this CERN control center. So from here, the beams inside the LHC are made to collide at 4 locations around the accelerator ring, corresponding to the positions of the 4 particle detectors I told you about earlier: CMS, Atlas, Alice, and HCB. CERN is also a place of important knowledge transfer. It's one of the key missions as well, is that people come here to learn, to work, but also to take back what they have acquired in terms of knowledge. And beyond that, the applications of particle physics and the technology that we build and prototype at CERN are useful in other domains. And we have very successful knowledge transfer examples in the field of safety and environment, emerging technologies, aerospace application, medical and biomedical technologies, notably in the treatment of cancer, in terms of cultural heritage, Industry 4.0, and many more. And the slides might be available after this meeting. Check out the cern.ch/KT website, which will tell you far more about this very important aspect of CERN's work. Slide 20, the people. Now, this is very close to my heart because CERN, one of the key values of the organization is diversity. There are more than 100 nationalities working side by side here, and I can tell you this cultural melting pot is what makes the organization the wonder that it is. It really is through different ways of thinking, different nationalities, cultures, ages, all walks of life working together in what is a fabulous collaboration. Slide 21 is a picture to show you our restaurant, which looks very different in times of COVID. We're only allowed 2 per table, which is rather odd. But here it shows when times were easier, the cross-generational aspect. We have Nobel Prize winners coming for lunch at CERN. We have retirees who can't get away from the place. And we have the youngsters who work and speak with them side by side, sharing knowledge. It's absolutely wonderful. Slide 22 shows you a picture of someone working in the tunnel to show you the accelerator as it is housed there, because we are really working above and underground. Slide 23, this is really to show you the tools that we use. So the first and foremost tools are the accelerators. These are the powerful machines that are capable of accelerating particles to very high energies before being collided with other particles in the detectors. So these are the gigantic instruments I showed you earlier that record the particle collisions. And finally, the computers I talked to you about the grid earlier to collect, store, distribute, and analyze the enormous quantities of data generated by the collisions in the detectors. Slide 24 gives you a list of a few of the many and diverse disciplines that we actually hire for at CERN. When you come to work at CERN, you could be working in computing, in vacuum and cryogenics, in electricity, mechanics, radio frequency, HR, and all sorts of things. But the technology is vast. It's a place where the old is shoulder to shoulder with the new. We have a lot of old technology because CERN was founded in 1954, and a lot of the technology is still applicable and used, and side by side with emerging technologies and prototypes that are being built. So it's absolutely fascinating in that respect as well. Slide 25, this is to tell you a little bit more about who we are, who's working at CERN. So there are over 17,000 people as a global count. These are the engineers, technicians, support staff, and physicists. The main contingent there are the more than 12,000 so-called users. These are the people across the world, irrespective of the country they come from, their nationality, who come to work as users of the infrastructure to do particle physics research. Then we have those who build, operate, and maintain the accelerator infrastructure and all the support structure that is necessary for the research. These are the staff members, the professionals, the fellows, who are the graduate program, the students and the trainees, and over 1,000 associates. So that gives you an idea of who's working side by side and on what status. Slide 26, to tell you about, why am I talking to you today? You might think, well, great, CERN is really well known. It's a hub for particle physics. Well, that's just the problem, is that very few people know that of the 2,500 staff members I just told you about, only 3% are actually research physicists. We are trying to reach out to all the engineers and technicians because we are an engineering and technical hub. So we want to put CERN on the map of those candidates we're seeking to hire who don't necessarily think of CERN as a potential employer. So when you've seen this, please tell your friends. In terms of values, this is terribly important when you're looking for a job or a studentship or a graduate opportunity. You make sure you look for somewhere whose values match your own. It's very important. And in terms of CERN's values, the values are diversity, integrity, commitment, professionalism, creativity, centered around excellence, and also around the notion of respect, because when you have such a vast array of diverse people working side by side, respect for one another and for what we do is what makes us advance so well. Slide 28. To differentiate the values from the actual brand, so if we talk about branding of an employer, these are the factors that make working for the organization the amazing thing that it is. And for us, it's challenge, purpose, collaboration, imagination, and quality of life. That's for sure that living in the area is a certain quality of life that is quite difficult to match. Slide 29, tells you about how many people we welcome each year. So over 600 students join the organization on the summer student program, on the technical student program, the doctoral, the administrative students. Over 250 graduates also join, of which the technician training experience allows people with HNDs or apprenticeships to come for their first experience in the technical field, and over 100 professional staff members and a number of associates. I'm going to take you now from slide 30 through our programs. Alexander's just already mentioned a few from his own experience in the introduction. So one of the key programs that we have that would be of interest to you is the Technical Students Program. So we have around 200 positions a year on this program, which is in the fields of applied physics, engineering, computing, and the duration is between 4 and 12 months, although we really do encourage people who join the program to come for the longest duration possible to really get the full working and living opportunity that it is. So to be eligible for this program, you need to have completed 18 months of technical undergraduate studies. You'll have a technical project with a CERN supervisor, a living allowance, including health insurance. The next deadline for the current program is very soon, on the 19th of October, and the committee that will follow will be in December. So when I say committee, we have 2 rounds per year, so with a committee in December and in May, at which the future hiring managers will be browsing all the applications and making their selections among the best of those. Slide 31 tells you a little bit about the same program for its administrative equivalent, so I'll go through that very quickly. These are in the fields of human resources, law, finance, science communication, etc. This is for between 2 and 12 months, and the eligibility criteria are the same. Slide 32 tells you about the doctoral student program. So there are about 60 positions a year on this in the fields of applied physics, engineering, and computing. So these last any time between 6 months and 3 years. To be eligible for this, you need to be already enrolled in a doctoral program with a university. CERN is not an academic institute. Contrary to popular belief, we cannot deliver the actual degrees. So it's in collaboration between CERN and the respective universities that the doctoral degrees are handed out. So this features a technical project leading to a PhD thesis co-supervised by the university thesis advisor and a CERN staff member. And again, it's the same deadline, 19th of October, with committees in May and December. So the next one is December. Slide 33, the summer student program. So these are 300 positions per year, obviously to come to spend the summer at CERN in the fields of physics, engineering, and computing for about 8 to 13 weeks. To be eligible for this, you need 3 years of full-time studies at university level, and you'll get a high-quality lecture program. The lecturers are leaders in their field worldwide. You'll get visits, workshops, living allowance, and quite frankly, an amazing summer, because what happens, how the summer student community gels together and all the things they do together is wonderful. Of course, with the exception of 2020 having been so peculiar for everyone, and we had to put it online for only part of the students who could. So we're hoping that next year will be brighter and that we can welcome summer students on site again, because that really is the ethos of the program. So this will open in November, all being well. Slide 34 tells you a little bit about the short-term internship program, which is another opportunity to join CERN it's actually between 1 and 6 months, but if you're coming from abroad, we recommend you come for a minimum of 3. This is you get a subsistence of around 1,500 Swiss francs a month, so you also need to have some sort of, living allowance that can complement this. So this really is a short-term internship in diverse fields that can also be a springboard and an experience of the organization. That's open all year round. On slide 35, fellows, these are our graduate program. 250 positions per year in the fields of physics, engineering, computing, and we have different levels of fellowship from the junior fellows to the postdoc research physicists fellowships. So the length of all fellowships are any time between 2 and 3 years. For eligibility criteria, you need to hold either a bachelor, a master's or a PhD and no more than 10 years relevant postmaster's experience. So as opposed to the students, fellows like staff members have an employment contract with CERN, so they really are employees of the organization and thus through contract have an attractive salary, including the social benefits, the pension, the health insurance, etc. And really the high feature here is training and networking. So the current program closed on the 1st of September for a committee in November, and with the next deadline will be on the 2nd of March for a committee in May. On slide 36, I'll tell you a little bit about staff positions. Who knows, maybe in the future that could be something you could apply to as well. We open around 150 positions per year across a whole spectrum of activities, be it administration to support, to firefighters, to legal advisors, to engineers, to technicians, and the list could go on and on. So we open those as and when the need arises. And the eligibility levels are from apprenticeship through to PhD. It really does vary. It features up to 5 years initial limited duration contract with competitive salaries and social benefits, relocation expenses, and training. On slide 37, I'm going to now take you through the how. How do we work at CERN? Well, the first place to go is careers.cern, our website that can tell you how to take part. So slide 38 tells you a little bit about the student and graduate selection processes. You saw that there were 2 committees per year in May and November or December, and that the application timescales are very long. They're open for around 5 months, which is a long waiting game. For the student application process, we have integrated asynchronous video interviews, which are a great opportunity for you to complement your paper application through a list of questions which are the same for everyone, that you would record in your own time and space to tell us a little bit more about your motivation, why you want to join CERN, what you would acquire from the experience, what you hope to bring to CERN, and things like that. Then after people who are the hiring managers have reviewed your application, they meet through the selection committee and hire the students and graduates who have made the grade. And this starts again twice a year. I've put a couple of links there that we will find on our website, including the graduate recruitment process details and also tips on applying, which are very useful. Slide 39, how to apply. So I've just mentioned it. You go online to careers.cern and you apply for a given vacancy that will take you to our applicant tracking system called Smart Recruiters. So when you do so, make sure you read the vacancy notice criteria very carefully, the eligibility requirements, and apply if really you meet the requirements. Otherwise, unfortunately, you would be rejected. When you apply, have your CV ready, have your motivation and passion thought through on how to put it across to the future hiring managers, and you'll be answering a number of screening questions to gather more information about you. Slide 40 are a few tips on how to ace your application. The very, very first step is do your research about CERN. Do your research about the discipline for which you are applying. If you're applying for a computing technical student opportunity or a fellowship, make sure you try and find out what's going on in that field. For example, we're currently entering into the realm of quantum computing. So this is a very interesting cutting-edge field, but it's also important for you to be abreast of the technologies we use and what is going on in that field. The same applies to all the engineering disciplines. And you'll find a wealth of information on the home.cern webpage. There is a saying that goes that recruiters spend an average of 6 seconds reading your CV. I would tend to disagree with that. I do read CVs through quite extensively, but I do appreciate it when candidates are clear, and concise. And I like it when people do tell us about their academic journey, all the experiences, the projects, and what you have acquired through them. But one thing that I really don't like are grammatical and spelling errors, and really a lack of care in an application. So make sure you have someone else proofread it and make sure it's spot on. Final advice, use PDF to upload it to your application in Smart Recruiters. On slide 41, a few words about CV and motivation, because it's always good to know. These are general ideas, but it's true, it's always good to use action verbs, you know, to really say that I took part, I participated, you know, really try and project yourself and help the hiring manager project themselves into what you've done. Be honest and open about what you've done and what you'd like to do. You need to maximize the opportunity to present your motivation. If you don't have much work experience to talk about, you must have done projects at uni, volunteering, you must be perhaps associated with clubs or be doing other things that you can talk about, because it's about you as a person more than anything else and what you can bring and learn with the organization. Remember, we want to know more about you. Slide 42. It's top 10 reasons why recruiters would reject a CV. This is quite a funny slide. It's just a reminder of the things that I've just told you about. Don't use an overly casual tone. Try to avoid excessively long CVs. Don't use too many cliches. Try to be specific about who you are. I mean, it's unavoidable, sadly, because there are keywords. I mean, that we're, of course, aware of. Don't over-beautify your CV. It doesn't really go down well either. The content is what counts, and sometimes sober is better. Avoid writing in the third person. I think the Queen can do that, but I don't think it's quite appropriate for an application. And using clip arts and emojis are not recommended, nor cringeworthy quotes. So that was just a little fun slide, but it's true, it's good advice. Slide 43, the successful CV will be well proofread, well written, concise and clear, as I said earlier. Be consistent in your spelling. Try and avoid American spelling if you can, but that's my personal preference. And as I say, it's always good to have someone else read it through to be sure that you've got it right. So slide 44, if you come to work at CERN, what are you going to get? Well, you'll be at the forefront of technology and physics. You'll be collaborating with multicultural, multidisciplinary teams without political or religious barriers. You'll be following experts in their technical domain. You'll be part of a dynamic environment with training opportunities. You'll be making valuable and long-lasting contacts from all over Europe. You'll be learning languages. CERN is a bilingual organization with working languages English and French. You'll get an attractive remuneration package, but of course, a unique experience. Slide 45, if you want to find out more from those who actually work here, I actually host a testimonials page where people tell us about their stories, their journeys, how they got there and what they're doing. So I've just shown you a few people who you could meet on there. There are many, many more. Don't hesitate to check them out on careers.cern/our-people. Slide 46 shows where you can find us on social media, on Facebook with a CERN_jobs page. There's also the CERN page, of course, for all those who are interested in the actual ongoing activities of the particle physics research laboratory that we are. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we've got great videos on YouTube, and you can see us on Glassdoor as well to find out what people think about working for CERN. And slide 47 is the last one, and it's over to you. Do you have any questions for me? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Anna. I think that was a great presentation, and I think I reiterate all of your positive comments, particularly that slide a few slides ago. What do I get? I found myself ticking off all of those as I went through and thought about my experiences at CERN. So I think now is the time where we can open the floor to questions. So if you've got a question, please put it into the chat now. And what I'll do is I'll go through these one by one and ask Anna as they come in. So we've got the first question I got a couple of minutes ago actually was asking about the numbers expected given the COVID situation. Are you expecting the numbers to be the same in the upcoming years, or do you think the numbers are going to differ due to COVID, Anna?
Oh, that's a great question, and thank you for asking. I can only reassure you that our recruitment drive has not reduced. In fact, CERN is operating better than ever. We're really keeping the health and safety of everyone in mind, so we have had to adapt over the lockdown period where people started remotely on telework where it was possible, or we deferred contract start dates. The thing is that we have a very, very ambitious program of work. I mean, the amazing thing about CERN is that you can really look, 10, 20, 30 years into the future. We already know what's on the roadmap or what's planned to be on the roadmap. And so no, our recruitment drive is not reducing. We're coming out of the second long shutdown. We're looking forward to the future run of the LHC, and everything is done so that we can continue welcoming students and graduates and associates to work alongside us to continue this great project.
Fantastic, thank you, Anna. We've got questions flooding in now, so I'll go on to the next one. Question. Can the people apply to the same role for a second time if they didn't get through the first round?
Absolutely, yes, resounding yes, yes, yes. But of course, if you still meet the eligibility criteria. In fact, I've seen that happen, and someone just posted on LinkedIn, he joined this month, and he said he was getting so frustrated. He'd had one reject and second reject, and he said, I am not going to give up. I'm going to try. And on the third try, he got in, and it's fabulous to see. So don't give up. Please persevere.
Perfect. Another question on the video interview. Are you going to be asking technical questions in that?
No, not for the student and graduates, no. So to be absolutely clear, this is in the student recruitment process. It's the same questions for everyone. It really is around what I said in the presentation about understanding better your motivation, what you're proud of, how do you like to work. There are no technical questions there in why, because we hire across so many disciplines that it would be impossible to make a one-size-fits-all. So it really is to give you an opportunity to complement your application. It's not, a lot of people get worried about it because they think, oh gosh, I'm not a great communicator by video and I'm talking to myself in front of my computer. It's not about a communication exercise. It's about giving us a little bit more about you. So really concentrating on what you can complement in the answers, and you'll be guided through it. There'll be test questions before you launch into it. Really don't make it into something enormous. It's actually a great experience as well for your, for your own education. So it's a good opportunity. For the fellows, the graduate program, we only do it for the technician training experienced fellows. We don't do it for the current fellows who are graduates, bachelor, masters and PhD. It may come. We're looking at introducing cognitive ability testing, which is far more of a predictor for performance. So you can expect to have quite an interesting recruitment process experience.
Sounds great. Next question, I can maybe answer this. How many students from the University of Bath do we take for placement years? Typically,
go for it, Alexander.
I think usually it's between 1 and 3, that sort of number. At least that's over the past few years. That's been the sort of number that we've had consistently every year. I don't know if you've got a different answer, Anna, but I think that's what.
No, it's absolutely perfect what you said. It really depends. We get applications, remember, from all over the 23 member states and 8 associate member states, and loads from the UK universities. But it's great that traditionally Bath Uni, and I'm jolly proud of that, has seen quite a few people come through the studentships and fellowships. So do please apply. We want to see more of you.
Yes, it was. So I took the Vice Chancellor to CERN, and we had a room full of Bath graduates, which was very impressive.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Yes. Okay. Next question from Maxime. Could you give an example of a mechanical engineer student intern project? Again, I can maybe answer some of that.
Yeah, go on.
In my section, we had students. So I was working in the microscopy unit. We had some projects looking at different types of metallurgy, microscopy, residual stress analysis, typically focused on a specific application. So on maybe one of the detector upgrades, maybe focused on one of the new projects. There's quite a bit of work on Click was going on while I was there. So that type of example. I don't know if you want to add anything, Anna?
Yes, I will. Mechanical engineering is a huge discipline at CERN. I mean, look at what we're building there. I mean, I think it's the mechanical engineer's dream. We have a great machining lab. We have all sorts of possibility. I hired a vacuum brazing engineer a few years ago in the mechanical section, but to give you a precise example of a project would be very difficult given the vast array of mechanical engineering subdisciplines in which we're hiring. But if you go into our testimonials page I told you about on careers.cern/our-people, you will see the latest testimonial from a lady called Pavlina, who comes from the Czech Republic and tells us about how, as a mechanical engineer, she came from the orthopedics environment into CERN and what she's doing there today. So I would invite you to go and read that, and also go and look up the mechanical engineering pages of the home.cern, and you'll see it's absolutely awesome.
Brilliant, fantastic. Another quick question here. Is it possible to apply in French if somebody's more confident in that language?
Yes, absolutely. It's one of our working languages, so we would not say no to that. Clearly, when you come to CERN, if you speak better English or better French, you'll be learning the other one. And I must say that our language is CERNglish. It's very weird. It's a composite of English, French, German, and all sorts of languages, a lot of Italian. But clearly, if you feel more comfortable in French, do that. What we can't accept, though, is applications in other languages, unfortunately.
I think this one's going to be, maybe you've got a list. So what are the top qualities that you're looking for when hiring students?
Wow, I love that question. Well, that's going to depend on the hiring manager in terms of technical competency, but in terms of soft skills, what I always like to say is curiosity. If you want to apply for a position at CERN, a studentship, you need to be curious, open-minded. You need to look outside the box, because that's how we work. Totally outside the box. We welcome new ways of thinking. We welcome new ideas. We welcome trial and error. I mean, the word failure does not exist here. Everything is a learning opportunity. So what I'd say, those are part of the top qualities. Teamwork, you really need to like teamwork. Problem solving as well is very important. And autonomy quite a bit, but that as a student you would learn, and there's always someone there to help. So I think, yeah, curiosity, an open mind, a liking for teamwork, problem solving would be the top I would give to you.
Perfect. So we've got a question from Bilal. So he's a first-year student. Should he wait until next year, or is he eligible now?
So unfortunately, not eligible yet for the technical student program. You need to have at least completed 18 months of full-time study by the time of the committee. So by December, you should have done 18 months. So I would apply for the next round with the committee in May, by which time if you're a first year, no, it would be next year even. Just make sure you've totted up those 18 months full-time studies by the time of the committee. So in your case, I mean, I imagine you're what, 2 or 3 months in now? No, 1 month in?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Ah, 2 weeks. Well, congratulations. It's great to know you're already motivated. So no, wait till next year.
I think we maybe covered most of this, but question, what types of questions can we expect on the video interview? So I think that was less technical, more sort of soft skills. Is that right?
Yeah, it was around your motivation, what you're proud of in your studies so far. Why do you want to join CERN? That's sort of very simple question, but no technical.
We've still got 31 questions left. Would you believe they keep coming in?
Wow.
So could I apply to more than one opportunity at the same time?
Yes. Provided, of course, you're consistent and coherent in what you're doing. Because if you apply for something that's totally orthogonal to another application, you don't look credible. So make sure that it fits in with your skills and your aspirations, yes.
I think I can maybe answer the next one from Patrick. How complex is the move over process? Is there a lot of admin paperwork to be done? So I would say my move over process was seamless. It was absolutely perfect. The HR team was excellent. I found it very simple. There's a lot of help there to help you move over. There is a few forms to fill out, but there's definitely a lot of advice and guidance. So I would say it's compared to other jobs, it's very, very simple and straightforward.
And I'll compliment that. Thanks for the compliment for HR, Alexander. That was very nice. No, we're very much aware that we are expatriating a lot of people, and therefore we have an incredibly good team who are there to help you with your onboarding. We're international civil servants, so even though we're based in Switzerland, or if you're based in France, we do not have to have work permits. We have what we call legitimation cards, so we help you with all of that administration. And in terms of housing, a lot of students end up co-housing or co-sharing or whatever you call it. But really what you can count on is an incredible support network to make your move over as seamless as possible.
Perfect. So a question from a second year student here. In terms of their application, they won't have completed the 18 months by December. Does that mean, or is that what we talked about previously with this, by the time they started, they would have done 18 months?
No, so to really be absolutely clear about that is that when you start your application, you need to already be looking ahead at when the committee will be. So imagine you start your application in June of this year. You must think, will I have completed by December 18 months of study? If yes, you're eligible. If no, you're not. If you're not for this round, just think that the next round will open in December for the committee in May. It's just very important. The reason why we have this, and we have tried to change that rule because it is difficult, particularly for UK students, is, as I've told you time and time again during this presentation, we're funded by 23 member and associate member states, and there is no one size fits all. And that if we lowered the eligibility criterion too much, the students would be too underexperienced to get the most out of it. So we really recommend, for your benefit, to have acquired these 18 months of study by the time of the committee and to apply accordingly.
I think you mentioned this already, but so when is the technical student program typically run?
So when is it run? That's a good question. The application deadline is 19th of October, committee on the 3rd of December, but the actual program itself runs all year round, because if you're selected, you're going to discuss with your future supervisor your project and your start date, because it's not imposed on you. There is no one intake. Every month we start all the contracts on the 1st of the month, but it really has to be in line with your needs, in line with the project's needs, so it will differ on a case-by-case basis.
Perfect. Another question here: is application restricted to member countries?
Yes, that was a clear message at the start of the presentation. We're funded by 23 member and 8 associate member states, and it's nationals of those countries who are eligible to apply, because they contribute to the budget, so it's about return on investment for the countries who pay in. You can find our member states on the home.cern website.
Another question here: if you join student placement year, are you provided accommodation?
No, well, of course. It's not that we provide it, because we have so many people, but we have a housing service, we have accommodation support, we have internal networks of students who, hand each other out information on what rooms are available. So it's not a problem finding accommodation. And at the worst case, we have our CERN hostels as well, which can host you for a few weeks at the beginning until you find your feet.
I have to agree fully with that. It's very easy to find accommodation around CERN, and the pay is enough to definitely cover the sort of cost of rent for sure.
Yeah.
So just a quick clarification about the video interviews. Does that come after they've sort of passed through some filtering process? Is it only the candidates who's reached the next stage that go into the video interview, or does everybody do the video interview?
So that's a great question. Mindful that, for example, in the technical student program, we get thousands of applications. It's only the eligible ones who will go through with it, because we would find it unfair to impose something like that on people we already know would not be eligible. So it's eligible candidates, all eligible candidates, who will go through with it, and then all these applications are submitted to the hiring managers, who will search through them in order to select the best among them for their needs. And when I say the best, the best can take any shape or form. So what I'm saying with that is that don't think you have to have top marks and A++ grades everywhere to get in. What we want is people who really have the disposition and the motivation, the curiosity, all those lovely soft skills I told you about earlier, and really the drive and willingness to join us.
Question here. I might sort of give my own answer as well here. So, are the projects opportunities internationally, or just in? They've just asked Switzerland, but actually it's the Swiss-French border. So I'm sure Anna can mention if there's some other opportunity. But so, for example, I'm advertising for PhD studentships, which are in collaboration with CMS. So that means that I've got students working on CMS as users, one of these 12,000. I am one of the 12,000. So that means there's similar opportunities across the world for these types of projects. But I don't know, are there any other sort of jobs elsewhere, Anna, internationally, or is it just on the site?
So you mean jobs with CERN?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we are all based at CERN. The LHC is not movable. No, but it's a great question, because it's true that a lot of students will apply to organizations who have, you know, headquarters here and then sister companies there and there and there all around the world. No, we're based at CERN on the site that I showed you in the pictures earlier, and that is where you would come to work.
A quick question about cover letters. Is it a good idea to include a cover letter?
Great question. Yes, it is. At the same time, in the application process, our applicant tracking system has a field called message to the hiring manager. So you can add your motivation statement there. But I always think that as a student, it's a very good exercise to include a cover letter, because that's your opportunity to really bring a little bit of subtlety around the things that you've acquired and learned, and to show your passion and motivation through words.
Perfect. I think we're running out of time, but what I might do is I will take any outstanding questions and put them together. I'll try my best to have a go at putting some answers in, and the rest I'll maybe send to Anna, and she can perhaps point people in directions or clarify as I see. I appreciate I don't want to send you hundreds of questions, Anna.
Oh no, I really would welcome them. So I mean, I don't know how many people are listening, but I just want you to know that I am here. I'm on LinkedIn. Do contact me. Alexander can contact me too. I'd love to help you out. I can't guarantee, of course. I hope you realize that. Any help in getting you a place, but that's what we're here for. So don't hesitate to get in touch.
Okay, maybe I don't know if you got to go. I know this was the end of our session. I'll perhaps just ask one final quick question.
No, go for it. I've still got about 10 minutes if people want, but I can imagine they're tired.
Right. Okay, well, I think I can be late to my next meeting. That doesn't matter. So I'm happy to keep going with the questions for now, and then when you need to go, any remaining ones I will copy into a document, and we'll try and upload that along with the recordings and the slides. So please don't worry if we don't get around to your question. We will try and get you an answer. So quick question about the summer program. Do you work on different projects, broad range of topics?
So when you get hired on the summer student program, you will work on one project which is unique to you, but you will be experiencing the full lecture program and the visits and the workshops, which will actually expand your horizons further. But it would be very difficult in a period of 8 to 13 weeks to work on more than one project. It wouldn't be viable.
Quick question from Jordan here. You don't offer accommodation? We clarified that. How much is rent? Rent is quite expensive. It's in Geneva, but the salary accommodates for any of that. So don't worry about the cost of rent, because you'll be paid a sufficient amount to cover that. In terms of applying, if you get rejected from one panel, then please apply to the next one. That should be fine. As a first year undergraduate, does the length of employment span over the... I'm not sure what you mean by that one, Moses, so we'll come back to that one. When applying for the technical program, how long should our letter be? What are the contents of the letter? I think 1 page. Is that roughly right?
Yeah, I think if you start writing War and Peace for your cover letter, it doesn't bode well. So the same advice that I gave for the CV: be clear, be concise, try to restrict it to 1 page with a reasonable font. But actually say what you've got to say, but if you go to 3 pages, it's going to become a little bit tiresome, I think.
And my advice would be to sort of just demonstrate what your motivations are, what you've done, that type of thing, because that's going to be particularly attractive if they find out you've got experience in the relevant area.
Yeah, I think a cover letter is really there to answer the why am I applying. You know, a CV doesn't tell us that. The cover letter will.
Perfect. Are video questions submitted at the same time as CVs? We said no to that, didn't we?
Nope. No, it's in a second stage. So the CV will be at the application stage, which will determine whether you're eligible or not. And then if you are, you will receive an invitation to complete the video interview.
For a similar placement position, would a placement year count as one of the 3 necessary years at university? Probably not. Is that right? If they're taking a year.
So that depends on the universities. That's an academic question.
Well, in that case, I think it would probably be down to the placements team. I would say if you've had an extra year of industrial experience, it's only a good thing. Is it required? So motivation letter is not required, but advised.
Sorry, reference is not required. Yes.
Motivation letter is not required. It's just advised, right?
It's advised, yes, and the motivation statement is a field in the application process anyway, so you can leave a little message to the hiring manager.
Sorry, I'm trying to deal with. Do you take physics students as well?
Yes. Well, the physics students in the doctoral student program, no, because that's really around applied physics, engineering, computing. Physics will be more in the summer student program, and we have an applied physics technical studentship. So when you say physics, we hear applied physics.
During the job application, do people pick a specific project, or is the application quite general?
So the application is general. You apply, if you're applying for the technical studentships, you'll see that there are 6 jobs to apply to per discipline. So electronics and electrical, IT, maths and robotics, for example, applied physics, etc. And when you apply for that, you'll be asked for the main disciplines that you're interested in. You don't apply for a project because actually when we open the position, we're not actually super clear on the projects as they will be at the time of hiring. So what happens is that you apply generically, and then you will be contacted if you are successful by a supervisor who will suggest and talk through the project with you. But in general, students are not disappointed in what the offer is.
Okay, quick question. Are the roles for data scientists?
Data scientists, yes, under the computing bracket, I would say very much so.
Yeah, and there's a question here from Nikki L. Examples of computer system engineering applications. There's lots of computer systems going on. Engineers are vital for that, I would say, from my experiences of the data center.
Yeah, take a look at our computing pages on the CERN website and you'll see everything that's going on. It's so vast that it would be difficult to summarize in a very short minutes.
Quick question here. Are there opportunities for chemical engineers at CERN?
It's funny, this question comes up often. Actually, interestingly, yes. In the material science domain, it's very rare, but we do have a chemical unit who was actually instrumental during COVID in producing hydroalcoholic solution to help the effort. So it's quite an interesting anecdote. But yes, we do occasionally, and I underline occasionally, hire chemical engineers.
Yeah, I concur with that. I mean, so the helium tanks and things like that are vast at CERN. So you need a good understanding of the chemicals and how they interact and that type of flow. So that's definitely the case. Aerospace graduates, do you take them?
Well, yes. So we had a career fair yesterday with ESA, the European Space Agency, and the European Southern Observatory, and we had a lot of aerospace engineers asking that question. The thing is, when you do aerospace engineering, you're covering a lot of disciplines which are actually at CERN. So yes, make sure when you do apply that you really put forward all the different modules and disciplines that you're following to show the actual correspondence with what we're doing at CERN.
Perfect. Do candidates need to have a driving license? There is some requirement that somebody saw somewhere.
A driving license is not necessary. We're very pro softer mobility, as we call it here. It's a vast site, but there are shuttles, there's a great public transport network, there are bicycles on rental at CERN. It's not necessary, but depending on where you choose to live, I grew up on the French side, and I can tell you that if you haven't got a car, it's a bit dreadful. But it's not necessary. If you live in Geneva, actually having a car is a hindrance because you can't park it, you can't move because it's constantly, you know, traffic jammed and everything. But as I say, great public transport network on the Swiss side. So in a nutshell, no, not necessary.
Question. What's the company take on, I think you've gone through this but perhaps you can expand. What's the take on diversity and inclusivity at CERN?
Oh, I'm going to say it again. I love this question. D&I is super top of our agenda. I told you throughout the presentation about how diversity is one of our key values and one of our key drivers. And we have a dedicated diversity and inclusion program, which really looks on all the aspects of diversity and inclusion. So it's very high on our agenda, and we work very hard to give a very enriching work environment for everyone, with D&I at the heart of it.
Okay, I'm not sure. They've said that their question is stupid. I don't agree. How
no
does
question is stupid.
Yeah, how does colliding particles help us develop technology, and what opportunities does this bring?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's not stupid. I mean, the action of colliding particles, that's actually the business that we're in, because that's informing us on the constituents of matter. If the question is around, it's actually that objectives which generates the, you know, the tools and the technology, the accelerators and the detectors. So it's that technology that is the means by which we're going to create those collisions. I hope I'm making sense, because I'm trying to understand the turn of the question. So the objective of colliding particles is what has generated all this effort of design, development and constructions of such amazing machines. But Alexander's far better placed than I to say that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you only need to think about the internet. So, okay, we want to collide particles, but we need to understand and communicate our data well. Okay, so let's design a system that shares data over some system, and that's the internet. So that, you know, that's a massive opportunity, and you can think about cancer treatments and lots of other interesting applications that have come from this idea of trying to collide particles, but ultimately led to new technology, which has got a lot of other uses. We covered that one. There are roles for data scientists. Do you need to have a reference letter with your application?
Yes, it's highly recommended, because when we're a student, we don't have much experience, and it's always good to have someone vouch for us. Yes, so we do require that.
Do students require a visa?
No, it depends where you're from, what nationality you are. If you're from what we call a Schengen third country, then yes, you will need one, but you will be helped by our teams in obtaining it. But otherwise, we are still, Brexit won't change this, we hope. But as you're an international civil servant, you will have all the necessary documents to be able to live and work in France or Switzerland, to be able to be on the CERN site. I'm going to be having to make a move, I think, slowly. So maybe we can take a last question.
I think this one's crunching the numbers. So how much? What's the allowance for placement students? Do you know that off the top of your head?
The allowance for the placement students? You mean the technical studentships?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just over 3,000 Swiss francs per month. Which
is more than enough for accommodation and food. Yes.
Yeah. It's a pretty damn cool salary.
Okay, I think what I'm going to do now is we'll finish the session, and I will take all the remaining questions, put them into a document, and we'll try and get some answers to those, and send them back around to everybody. But thank you very much, Anna. As always, it's been a pleasure to speak to you, and the presentation was fantastic, and thanks again for answering all the questions.
But thank you all. I'm really sorry I'm not there with you. I'd love to be in Bath right now. I lived there for so many years, but I just want to give a huge shout out to you all students, because I know it's a really tough time at the moment with COVID-19, that you may be having to do your lectures online, and it's not easy, but you're going to be part of this student group who comes out so much more resilient and competent, and I really am with you 100% in these difficult times, and hopefully I'll get to come to the uni one of these days and meet you all.
It would be our pleasure to have you. Thanks again to everybody who came along, and I'll get Joe to send around the details and the recordings and everything like that. And yes, please make sure you apply.
Do. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Alexander. Thanks everybody, and goodbye.
Thanks, bye.